Hi, this is Kat from inkingpaperwithkat.com. Welcome to my craft room. Today's project is all about the season, the fall season. Pumpkins, pumpkin spice latte. That is a big treat for a lot of folks, and it's a nice way to just say enjoy your day. So we're going to make a little sleeve so that one of these little packets of pumpkin spice latte will slip right in. And we're going to be doing some stamping and coloring with watercolor pencils, and looking at some of the fall paper. The supplies that we're going to need today include the Stampin' Up! Country Home stamp set, and we are going to use the watering can, this fall arrangement, Enjoy, and that's it from that. We need a piece of Blackberry Bliss that is 5.5 by 7.5. We need a piece of Whisper White. 2x4 is more than enough. This is obviously bigger, but in case I make a mistake, I've got some extra. We need a piece of the Country Lane DSP, and that is 2 3/8 by 6 7/8. And then we need another small piece of Blackberry Bliss just for a small punch. Certainly not a piece this large. And a piece of ribbon. Today I'm going to try this Fresh Fig. It goes fine with this paper. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it better than the burlap, but we're going to find out. So let's get busy on our project. We are going to start with stamping today because we're going to need to let some things dry. So take your piece of Whisper White and get your stamps mounted. Now, if you have a Stamparatus, obviously you can use that. Any kind of stamping platform. I'm just going to go freeform today and hope we get what we want. I am going to get out a stamping pad because these are photopolymer and they need that extra cushioning, especially the one with the floral arrangement. This one, it stamps pretty good without it, but all right. We're going to stamp our watering can. All right, that looks fine. And then we are going to do our arrangement. Make sure your stamp is well adhered and well stamped up, or well inked up. Okay, then you are just going to look through your stamp and line it up and press it down. Alright, it came out pretty good. So I think we're good. And as long as we have the ink and things out, we are also going to ink up our little sentiment, which is Enjoy. Stamp that right there. Okay, let's put our ink away. And we're going to do some quick coloring. I am going to use basic gray for the watering can. And I am putting the majority of the color on the sides of the can. Because for me, this image lends itself to the light coming from the front. So the front would be the lighter part of your image. And then up at the top would be a little bit darker where there might be a shadow. Also on the underside of the handles, that's going to be a tad darker. And again, your sides. Now remember, with watercolor pencils, like any other coloring medium, you can layer additional color. It's just usually a matter of you need to let them dry. So now I'm going to get very light coloring across. My handle's colored in. I'm going to bring this out a little more. Alright, I'm going to use a blending pen. You can also use water, but blending pens work really well on this. And if you do very quick strokes, you can kind of get the look that you're going for. Now I'm going to take a little bit of basic black and come in on those sides again, because I want a little bit more depth. And just go back with my blending pen and pull that in. Clean your blending pen off. Okay. Now we're going to do the top of our image. I am going to use Early Espresso, kind of light hand on the cattails. I'm going to go a little bit darker on the sides where there's some stampings there. I'm going to use Old Olive for all of these leaves. And you can tell I'm not taking a lot of time to put the color in, just trying to get just a hint of color there. All right. And I'm also going to use Old Olive for the artichoke. Color it in pretty lightly. And then just add some depth at the leaves. All right, these images, honestly, I had to look at them a couple of times to really figure out what was going on. And they are leaves. But because this is a fall arrangement, I want them in fall colors. I don't want them in green. So I'm going to use Cajun Craze, and I'm going to go in kind of dark in the middle. And then I'm going to take my blender pen, make sure it's clean, and I'm going to pull my color out. You can see you get a lot of color out with your blender pen, even though all of the color you laid down was just in the center. All right, I'm going for cherry cobbler for the berries, just because I want a pop of something really, really bright. All right, and there's our image. Now, on this one, you will notice that it's really cut quite well. Well, I cut it on my brother Scan and Cut. I did not fussy cut this, but I know that not everyone has a brother Scan and Cut, so we are going to fussy cut this one. You could just do an oval. I don't know that any of our layering ovals are large enough to accommodate the full image, so if you don't mind losing part of the image, then that's fine. But you could just cut a rectangle around it. But let's go ahead and make an effort at doing a little bit of fussy cutting as soon as I find my little snips. And it's up to you whether you leave a slight border around it or you go right up to the line. It all depends on the look you want. Now, because unless you are really good, and I know there are some people who are excellent at fussy cutting, you will have some white areas showing on the top where the flowers are. You might want to leave some white areas on the pot as well. I am not going to cut into all of those little areas. For one thing, we would be here forever. And for another, I don't normally do fussy cutting that well. So we'll go into some, but others we'll just make into groupings like the berries and those fern type leaves. It's usually easier if you get rid of any extra paper that's hanging around so you don't have that weight pulling on it. And again, for those of you that are really good at fussy cutting, one, I admire you, and two, you won't have any problems fussy cutting this image. But if you do happen to have a brother Scan and Cut, it does cut this image very well. And I thought about not using this image because it was so intricate, but I really like it. And I think it has a really nice fall feel to it with this milk jug. All right. All right, there's our image. All right, let's take our sentiment. We're going to use a 1-inch circle punch. And then we are going to take our little scrap of blueberry bliss, or blackberry bliss, excuse me, and use the 1 1/8 scallop punch. On this one, I used the little frame and I used the Enjoy, and again, I cut it with a machine. So that's how that came about. But I think this will work just fine for everybody. So we are going to take fast fuse and just center our image there. Pop it up with a glue dot, or not a glue dot, I'm sorry, a dimensional. set that aside while we build our little sleeve. You will need your Simply scoreboard, your 5.5 by 7.5 inch piece of paper. So on the short side, we are going to score at 2.5 and 5. We're going to turn it, and we are going to score at 1/2 inch. All right, that's all of our scoring. So let's fold and burnish. So we want to remove this section and this little tiny square. So we're just going to cut straight up and over. And then we're going to remove this little square and also take a wedge in the seam tab. Okay, so it should look like that. Now, depending on the look you want, you can round the corners or not. I happen to like it when the corners are rounded. So we're just going to take our triple punch that I know has a proper name, but I can't remember what it is. So, and you will have to tuck your little sides in there to get it in. Okay. You are going to put a strong adhesive on your seam, because even though it is not that large of a packet, it does put some pressure on this because it is puffy. So fast fuse, tear and tape, double-sided tape, Tombow, but just something that has some strength to it. Give that a burnish so it's adhered really well, and then just remove your backing tape, pull that over. Now, you do want to really burnish that down. You need this to stick really well, otherwise it will pull apart. Again, burnish it. Remove your backing, which sometimes I can do with my fingernails and sometimes I can't. And fold that up. Okay, let's adhere our DSP. Just goes right on the front. I'm using fast fuse, snail would work fine. It's a very narrow border, so line it up as best you can, which I didn't get it on very straight, but such is life. Then take your 1-inch punch at the top and go about halfway down and punch. It will go through all the layers. All right, so now you can take your little pouch, slide it in, And the reason for the little finger hole is so people can pull it out easily. Originally I didn't put the finger hole in, and then I realized it wasn't very easy to get it out. You need a length of ribbon that is probably 18 inches long, and you are just going to wrap it around evenly, and then tie it at the top with just a piece of linen thread or baker's twine or whatever you have handy. And then just tie it either in a bow or a knot. I think a knot is fine because this is going to serve more or less like a belly band. Trim that, and then adhere your image. I'm going to adhere it with dimensionals, and I'm going to put the dimensionals on the ribbon because they are functioning like a belly band. So pretty much put your dimensionals down the middle of your image. Take the backings off. Give them a good press down. And there you have it. A pumpkin spice latte sleeve to help somebody bring in the fall season. I can't wait for fall to finally come. I love fall. It's my favorite season of the year. I hope you enjoyed the project. Give it a try. Let me know how it goes. I'd be interested in seeing any that you do. So come back again soon.